Hello, Hard Times Guy here, and got the guys here today. In fact, got a couple of guys here that haven't been here since the day we had 11. Uh, Dog, he's here. He's been here since then, but uh, Jerry and Big Skinny, they ain't been here. Jerry Hickok and Big Skinny Sumter. Sometimes we call Big Skinny Q-Stick. Both the same. I mean, Skinny and Q-Stick. I don't know, how tall are you? 6'4". He's 6'4". He weighs about, I was going to say 120. He said 118. So, you can see why we call him Q-Stick, or, yeah. Okay, today I want to talk to you about a thing that my family calls making memories. And first, let me say that most of the memories that I'm talking about are made spontaneously. In other words, we didn't plan to make a memory, but we're doing the kind of things that, as a family, that turn into memories. And I might add to this that children make memories that we don't know of often. And so when these youngsters that run around here, my great-grandchildren and some of them my grandchildren, they sometimes are making memories that we won't hear anything about until they're young adults, or maybe even older than that. They'll say to one another, "Remember that time at Papa Luke's," or "Remember that time that Grandma Betty did this or did that," and then it'll come out something that was memorable to them. So we're making memories, and lots of times we don't even know about memories that we are making. That's one kind of memory. Another kind, and the kind I'm going to talk about today, is one which we plan and make on purpose. We do something as a family group or as an individual in order to bond with children, or to provide them entertainment, or do something significant in their life. And it might be something to teach them a lesson, and often it is. But we do it with a plan and a purpose, and it becomes a memory. And we have just such a one, and I want to talk about it today. I alluded to it the other day in the little mini happy birthday I gave to, there's a fly bugging me, little happy birthday I gave to Braxton, which had a rather unflattering picture of me, and it stayed up there a couple of days, and then I took it back down. So if you've been looking for that one and couldn't find it, it's because it's not there anymore. If you're a member of my family and you just got to have it, I have it on my computer. You can go look at it there, but you can't look at it as a YouTube video anymore. It's gone. But I alluded to this in the title of that, what I'm going to call the BLUEBIRD Project. This is a book about bluebirds, and somewhere around here, I think, is another book. It's not just like this one, but it is another book about bluebirds. And there's just lots of general information in here if you're interested in bluebirds. Lots of pictures, lots of things about how to attract them, lots of things about the kind of things they prefer, and kind of an interesting thing. And I like bluebirds, and so when I run across this book, I bought it at an auction, of course, and the other one, same thing. I bought it at an auction. I looked through it and I decided to come up with a project. Shannon may have the other book because I gave my daughters that were involved with the project, or I involved them in a project, gave them a book, and part of their responsibility was see to it that the young people that were going to be in the project either read the book, or if they were too young to read, the book was read to them, at least to the point where they got the gist of it. So that other Bluebird book that I can't find may be lost at Shannon's house. After she watches this video, she may say, yeah, I got it, or she may look for it, I don't know. I developed this idea about involving the grandchildren in a project where they could learn something, where I could bond with them, and where it would create not only a memory for that time, but a memory and something for us to do together in future times. And are you familiar, if you're familiar with the old platform scales that they used in like feed mills and feed stores, they set the big feed sacks up on them, they moved the little things along the bar, and the platform scale has the bar on it and the weights, and you weigh the feed, and those are mostly made out of cast iron and brass, but the upright that goes from the scale platform up to the top of the scale was a rectangular tube made out of wood, and it had a rod down through it to connect the top and the bottom of the scales. I bought an old scale one time, and it wasn't worth trying to salvage for anything, so I took the weights and the bar and sold them separately in an antique booth somewhere, and I think I ended up taking the wheels and the base to the junkyard and getting junk price for the cast iron. And that upright piece that was a rectangular tube, I made a birdhouse out of it. And I put that birdhouse up behind my house, and for several years we had wrens nest in that birdhouse every year. I got to where I appreciated wrens and kind of liked having them around. But I wondered why I never could attract bluebirds, because it seemed to me I'd made the house just about like a bluebird house. And that wren house isn't back there anymore. I put it out here on the side of a shelter, and it still gets wrens in it every year. But I got the idea to make another birdhouse like that, and I happened to have a piece of tubular wood again that was square shaped. Actually, what it was whatever you call those things that are in a pump organ or a pipe organ. These big organs, and it had this long tube made out of wood, and up at the top it had a hole in it that made it look like a whistle, and it was part of some old pump organ or pipe organ system somewhere, and I had that thing around here for a long time. I had it for sale. Nobody ever bought it in the yard sale, and I finally decided that I would turn that into birdhouse kits, K-I-T-S. In other words, I cut it off at an angle, and then I went up here above that angle and cut it off square, and then I cut it off at an angle again, till I had a series of square hollow wooden things about this tall with a slant top on them. Then I made a bottom to go on it, and I put a piece on that bottom that when you put it up against the bottom of the tall angular part, it fit right in. So all you had to do to complete the bottom was put some screws through the sides of it to hold it on, and then I made a slant top the same way with a piece fastened to the bottom of the top that fit down inside the tube. And so even a small kid could see the three pieces and figure out if you put those together you'd have a birdhouse. And I think I had 5 of those. And so 1 or 2 at a time in a group I could manage, depending on how old they were. I had my great-grandchildren come out, and I showed them the kit, told them what we were going to do, and they created a birdhouse from their kit. Pretty much what they did was they measured where the hole for the birdhouse would be, marked it with a pencil with my instruction and help, and then they used my little power battery operated screwdriver with the hole saw on it. They used it to cut the hole. Once they had that done, they put it together, put the screws in it to make it stay together, then they painted it. And we had the experience of Papa and them working together to create a birdhouse. We made that memory. They had, as a requirement before they could even participate in building the birdhouse, learned about bluebirds, because we made these birdhouses the way you're supposed to make them to attract bluebirds. Then we went out on the property and chose a site to mount their house, and then we observed those every year to see who gets bluebirds and who doesn't get bluebirds. And when we get bluebirds, then we enjoy watching bluebirds. Now, we did that with 3 of the 5. The other 2 were Heather's grandchildren. She has a place. She lives out in the country like I do. She has a place where suitable for attracting bluebirds. So her 2 grandchildren put theirs up at her house. And I don't know how well they attracted bluebirds. I've not heard any success stories about her houses, but over the years we've had some pretty successful stories about attracting bluebirds with the other 3. So that's what this video about making memories is. And I say all this business about making memories because I'm telling you, my viewers, you can go out of your way. You don't have to make bluebird houses, but you can come up with some project where your grandchildren get to make a memory with you. They get to learn something, in this case about bluebirds and nature, and then they get to follow up and continue to learn over years. You have a memory that just keeps recreating itself. There's an old swing, and it is an old one. I've owned it for a lot of years, and it was old when I bought it. It was one of those antique wicker swings that they used to bring a lot of money for. The Chinese started making repops of them and selling them at Kmart. They still, the Chinese get too much for theirs, and you'd think a good old one like that could bring some money, but that one's seen hard times. It's starting to come apart in places. It's still good and solid. You can swing on it, but it's kind of ratty looking around the edges, and it wouldn't bring the nearly $100 that I paid for it years ago. In fact, somebody wanted that, I'd probably let them have it for about $40. There's another old swing, and it's the wooden variety. It's an old one. It's well made. It's sturdy, even the hard times it's seen, and it's definitely in need of a new paint job. It's about half the paint's come off of it, and it's all chippy and crackly. I kind of like the look that it's got, but I'm gonna have to do something if it's just put a clear sealer on it, because it needs some protection from the weather. And it's hanging here on the other side of that shelter. Guy wanted that, he could probably buy that for about $35. After I get it painted or sealed, the price of it's going to go up, but it's good. Person could own it today for $35. Now right there's a true to life example of hard times. There's a little bench that probably at one time I wanted about $35 or $40 for. It'd been nice to sit out in your garden, and it's set out here and we've sat on it a lot of years, but it's suffering from neglect from the hard times guy. It should have been sealed and reconstructed and kept up in better shape. It's, you know, it's sad what I've let happen to that. Next home that's going to find is over on the burn pile probably. If you come along today and wanted to offer $5 for it, I probably wouldn't sell it to you. I'd probably say just take it. If you can do something with it, I'm happy for you. But won't be too much longer. I'll be dragging that out of there and putting it on the burn pile. I'm the Hard Times Guy. Subscribe to my channel. Watch my videos. Until the next time.